that itchy bite that was on my back. I had more now. Like, I'm still not over this. It doesn't make me sad, it just makes me so angry. Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. If you're new around here, I am Yvette and I moved to the UK 2.75 years ago. I hope you're all well. I am documenting my experiences, blah, blah, blah. This is the first of Waffle Fridays, so I'm already waffling because I can't remember the intro. It's like different now. So yes, this is my first Waffle Friday storytime-esque video. Now, I hinted at this in my previous video last Friday, but yes, as you can tell by the title, I had COVID, but I feel like most people had COVID over December, so I feel like everyone I knew was getting it. And I wanted to make a video because it's been a really hard one to talk about because of the circumstances, and it's like really hard to explain without putting people on blast. But maybe I will put people on blast. So for some context, before we get into the COVID, I work in the NHS. No, I don't work for the NHS, but I work in hospitals. I work in the healthcare sector. I go into surgeries. I work in a very clinically based role. I work with older patients. So 60 plus. That's my demographic of patient for what I do. That's important because I have not caught COVID the whole 2 years it's been around or whatever it's been. I have to do PCRs all the time for work. I have to do lateral flows all the time. I am always very, very cautious. I'm kind of used to wearing a mask because I wear them in the hospital, in surgeries for like hours. So like the idea of wearing them in the shops and on the train or just anywhere doesn't bother me. I'm pretty good at it. Like, not to brag, but I'm pretty good at wearing a mask and washing my hands and just general not being reckless because I'm just so conditioned from a medical standpoint. And obviously it worked because I didn't catch COVID. Also, some context, I promise I will get to the COVID, but you need to understand why it was so bad. In October, and this also adds to my breakdown as per the last video, you're welcome. How many breakdown videos have I made? Yes, so in October, Daniel, my partner, got made redundant. And if you follow this channel for a while, you know we bought a house recently and have been renovating it. So it's safe to say we don't have any money. Joking. Well, we didn't have any money. So that was a bit stressful. Like it was, yeah, it's just, you don't need that stress, you know? Fortunately, it's all worked out for the best. He has another job now. Don't worry. But just to understand the extra stress that I had in December, and Daniel was doing interviews, and for what he does, he needs to do lots of interviews with lots of presentations and lots of things. So I think he did, for context, I think he did 17 interviews in 5 weeks. So he was very busy prepping for these interviews. So that's that. That's the context of my life going into December. In December, my parents, it was also my birthday. My parents flew over to come see me for my birthday, which was very nice. They celebrated with me in December. My birthday is the 6th of December, they saw me then. And they stayed until 28th of December, so like just before New Year's. And they were on a holiday essentially, because I was still working. So they would go out in the day, I'd see them in the evenings and weekends, and that was it. So they were exploring London during the Omicron surge. Like, I'm still not over this. It doesn't make me sad, it just makes me so angry. So yeah, they were out exploring. I'm not angry about that. That was like fully allowed, like they weren't breaking any rules or anything. They did Tower of London, they went to Hampton Court, they did Kensington, they did a bus tour to, where did they go? Bath and Stonehenge. And on like the week after they arrived, I was in Highgate, where I used to live. I was showing them that because they never came because of the pandemic. And we're in the park and my mum starts going, just this tiny, and I'm like, and I don't know if it's like ignorance on their part or it's me with PTSD from living in Plague Island for the entirety of the pandemic. But I feel like whenever you're outside now and you hear someone cough, you're like straight to it. Like you can hear a cough like a mile away now. So I heard that cough. Now, as I mentioned, I am somewhat medical. Now, I spent 5 years working in a respiratory role, so I know quite a lot about respiratory illnesses. And so generally what happens, fun little science lesson, you will get a fever, you will get an itchy throat, you will get a runny nose. Normally this is the progression of a cold or a flu. Then the excess mucus production on your nose will come out the front. It also comes out the back. And it will run down the back of your nasal passageways down into your stomach and throat. And also, as a byproduct of that, it goes into your lungs. And then that's when you start getting that mucousy, chesty cough. Sorry to give you a science lesson in the middle of this. The takeaway is that the biggest giveaway for COVID, you can obviously I don't expect a layman to know, but you should never have a cough before anything else, because the cough is like a symptom of excess mucus production generally. Unless you have a dry cough, that's a different thing. But generally coughs come later in the illness for most colds and flus. COVID is the opposite. You get the cough first because it's not like that. It's a different type of virus. So when I heard the cough and I knew she hadn't been sick, I was like straight to it. And so I would keep saying, you're coughing. And she's like, no, I'm not. Like, I haven't coughed all day. And I know she has, because I am attuned to living on Plague Island to hear coughs. So I'm like making a tally and just tracking it. I obviously have a million lateral flows, always offering a lateral flow. Like I said, do them all the time for work. Wasn't an issue. Didn't want to do the test. My dad is also there. He, about 2 days later, got the same cough. I will say, my dad has had nasal issues and breathing passageway things. He's always, he snores really badly. He's just got bad airways at the best of times. So it is harder to tell with him. It was more like the tracking of it. And then by, this was Sunday, by Tuesday, I was like, take a test, you have COVID. And they didn't want to have it. Just for context as well, I'm that annoying person. I was like every day being like 80,000 cases, 100,000 cases, 120,000 cases. The health minister just said, the health secretary just said, if you have a cold, you've probably got Omicron. I was telling them every news update, every statistic. It was like, welcome to the BBC. Today's updates are, and that was me every morning. So there's no ignorance to be claimed here. So anyways, that was annoying. I expressed that my husband that Daniel needed to stay well to do his interviews, because if he got too sick to do an interview, he won't have a job. Well, he already didn't have a job. And then I obviously could lose mine because I work with patients and I could kill someone. Also very bad. Lots of moving factors. That was why it was so important. Also, on the Wednesday, so I should give you dates, but it's all the same week basically, I was getting my booster, and I really didn't want to get sick before my booster, because as you know, if you get sick with COVID, you can't have your booster. Very important. So I did lateral flows. Well, I was coming up negative, so I was like, cool. Mum was adamant that she wasn't going to take a test. I said, if you get COVID, I will blame you. And she said, that's fine. And he continued to scroll on Facebook. So then on Wednesday, I went and had my booster shot. So Daniel and I went, we got our third dose. We were like, this is great. Omicron's kicking off. I'm now mildly more protected. That night, I had an incredibly bad reaction to that vaccine. I've had 2 before, had no real side effects, just the normal stuff. I was in bed. I was almost seizuring, but not seizuring. So I'm still conscious, but my body was shaking so bad I couldn't move, and the injection site was actually so sore that that I lay on the right side of the bed and Daniel's on the left, and I couldn't, and because of the shaking and because of the pain, I couldn't reach out and wake him up to help me. But I was like, it's like shivering. Like, imagine you're like outside in the winter in like your pajamas, and you're like, no, it's worse than that. Like, just constant whole body shaking and ache, like your whole body is just tensing and going like that. So Daniel ended up, and then I started crying because I was in so much pain, and I was like, couldn't stop shaking, couldn't wake him up, so I was crying. And then he ended up waking up from my violent shaking. And so he rolled over thinking I was cold, because that's what you would think. And so he tried to put like his legs on me and like almost like hold me down like I was having a seizure. And I wouldn't stop, I could not stop shaking. And then we took my fever, like temperature, and I had 39.9 fever. And then I took, Daniel's a pharmacologist, so quite helpful. Took a cocktail of painkillers and antipyretics for those doctors out there, to lower my fever, because this was like, that's getting dangerous levels. If you get like above 40, you're supposed to go to the hospital. But luckily it came down with the painkillers, so that was good. And I was able to sleep. Slept through the next day. The next day I was like a bit tired, but generally fine. Friday, back to normal. I was working out, and I felt on my back. I felt, and it almost felt, I don't know what you guys call them actually. I felt like a mosquito bite, to be super factual, like an itchy bite, or a mozzie, as Australians say. And I was like, oh, something bit me in the night. I got a mozzie bite on my back, right on my spine. And I was like, that's weird. Oh well, kick on. Then Saturday rolled around. We were driving to York. Well, we were driving to Scotland via York to go see Daniel's sister, who's in Scotland. And so he hasn't seen her in 2 years because Scotland obviously keeps closing the border. And so, yes, that was, then we left for York on Saturday. That was fine. York is lovely. There was meant to be a vlog. You'll know why there was no vlog. I woke up Sunday morning and I had like a mild headache, and I was like tired, and I had a very mild fever, and I was like groggy. I felt like hungover, but I hadn't been drinking. So I just knew I had COVID. I obviously, like I said, I work in industry. I'm always hyper aware of symptoms and myself and everything, and I knew what Omicron was. And I immediately just knew I had COVID, and I was immediately angry because I knew Mum gave it to me, because she had, during that week, she had developed like cold-like symptoms, and that's what she was saying. Yeah, and then I went to Scotland because we were still driving up. I slept all of Sunday in the car, and then when we got to the hotel, I slept. I went for a COVID test in the morning of like Monday morning. I just slept again the whole day. Like, I literally could not stay awake. Symptoms were not that bad, I'll be completely honest. Like, I wasn't in pain. I didn't have a lot of like respiratory illness. I didn't even get a runny nose. And keep in mind, I've been doing lateral flows every day. Anytime I met anyone, lateral flow. All negative, but I just went for the PCR because like I felt it in my gut that this was COVID. And so then I just slept all day. That was the night was with see Daniel's sister. She also works in the NHS with special needs kids, so I did not see her. Daniel went and saw her, and then I woke up Tuesday morning and the NHS had texted me and said, you are positive. And I started crying. Sorry, the dog is ruining my dramatic effect. I started crying when I got the text message, because at this point, this was the 19th, I think it was, around then. So like 10 days was Christmas. It was Christmas. It was like I had just finished work for the year. So I'd been working and this was my Christmas holiday, and I was just like, I can't leave the house for my entire break now. Like, I just felt like the thing I'd been looking forward to all year was ripped away, and that was really upsetting. And I was also very angry. So I couldn't leave my hotel room, so I drove all the way to Scotland, paid £150 a night for the luxury of isolating for the time I was there. We made the decision, because I had my own car, that we'd go back to home the next day, because it's more dangerous. Well, it's one of those things, you just gotta weigh the risks up, you know, and then also the money of like, am I gonna spend Christmas in a Hilton? and then have the staff coming in. Like, that seems way more risky to me. So let them know, just got in the car, drove like straight home, no stops. Like, Daniel was doing tests the whole, he even went for a PCR just to be sure, and his came back negative, so he was not sick, so that was good. Don't know how I managed to avoid it. It's one of those weird things. I like had a massive, like, I'm not gonna get into it because this is like too much drama, but like mad fight about, because I felt very disrespected that my job and like that a holiday was more important and going out and doing things was more important than my job or Daniel's job or not killing people. Just the selfishness got me. So yes, massive screaming fight, and then the car ride home was super awkward, and then I couldn't leave the house until, fortunately, I was super lucky that the rules changed that I could do 2 negative lateral flows on day 6 and 7, and then I was free to go. So that was Boxing Day, so I did get some time, but yeah, I did lose the week leading up to Christmas, and then Christmas. But my Christmas, fortunately, I don't really know anyone in the UK. Like, I was only going to spend Christmas with my parents and Daniel anyway, and they live with me, so like, and my house is too small that we can't isolate, really. And at this point they gave it to me, so I wasn't like fussed about giving it to them. And then, so yeah, that happened. That wasn't fun. I was very annoyed. Bambi's coming in for more emotional support. So that's the tippy taps if you hear them, sorry. You should just honestly know at this point. I thought I was in the clear because I realistically didn't feel sick. I honestly, if it was any, just for your own knowledge of my experience of COVID, was that I wasn't even that sick. I was angry that they never took a test. That was my main anger. And my sickness, I honestly, if this was any other world, I would have thought I had a hangover and I would have gone to the gym to work it out. But obviously we live in a pandemic, so I did not do that. I got tested, did the right thing. But yeah, I know some people are going to criticize even coming home is technically meant to stay. But like, it's not like I was getting a train. I was in a car. It would have been more dangerous to walk around getting takeaways to feed myself in the hotel. Not me, like Daniel walk around to get takeaways. Anyways, I'm sorry if you disagree, but you know, you just gotta make your own decisions. I wasn't gonna spend Christmas in a hotel eating a takeaway. So yeah, I came home, stayed in, did everything, and then yeah, it was nothing. Then Boxing Day came, I was generally pretty fine. I felt, oh, you know what else was really weird, my symptoms? I had really bad digestion and I was not hungry. So that was the fun side effect, is I was like, I'm skinny, because I just could not eat, which is not like I'm making a joke, but like I literally like had no desire for food. So yeah, that was that. By Christmas I had my appetite back, digestion was calming down, it was fine. Boxing Day came, I felt like I was completely fine. And then phase 2 happened. That itchy bite that was on my back, I had more now. They were like not pimples, so it was not like chickenpox. They were like hives, and they spread to basically my whole body. I'm gonna show you a photo. I'm gonna like paint out the bad areas, and you can see my stomach. This is what I sent to the doctor, because I had to go to the doctor like literally 2 weeks ago. A week ago I've been to the doctor. That's how long it's been taking. So I noticed on my stomach I had these rashes. They were super itchy, and they were popping up everywhere. At first I thought something was biting me, we had bugs in the bed or something, but Daniel wasn't getting them, so it's obviously not that. Then the pharmacist thought maybe it was a fever rash because I had such a bad fever, but none of the normal treatments for that worked. So that was really annoying. And then, yeah, it was honestly really distressing. And then you'll see in the photos, it's like, I'm showing you the front. It was all over my back. They were on my arms. I had them in here. I had one in my armpit, all over my chest. I had them on the side of my face. I had them on my neck. I had them in my hair, like on my scalp. I think I had like 73 or something at one count. So they never went to my legs, and my arms were very minimal, but like anywhere that was hot from the fever is where I got them, which is super annoying. Bit of a mystery illness. I'm in my head thinking, has COVID triggered an autoimmune disease? that's where my brain goes because I have anxiety and that's fun to deal with. So that started on New Year's Eve, I remember, because I was seeing, at that point I was allowed out and I'd gone to see a friend. So it's the only marker in time in my entire like last 6 weeks. And so then on the 15th of January, I was like, okay, I'll go see a doctor now, because I honestly just had no time to see a doctor between work and other commitments. Like in January, like it was just getting worse and I didn't have time to see the doctor. And you know, and Omicron was kicking off, so like doctors weren't seeing people. It was like stress. So I think that clarifies as long COVID, because I still have it now. I think respiratory, I was fine, but I spoke to the doctor. Before then I'd tried like cortisol creams. I've tried, antihistamines, painkillers, everything that itchy creams to stop you itching. I tried it all, didn't work. So he put me on an extra strong steroid a week ago and it seems to have been making a difference, so that's in the clear. But yeah, it's super annoying. The doctor thinks, we both agree, that it was probably caused by a super immune response due to having my booster when I was infected with COVID but didn't know at the time, because I was in the incubation period of COVID when I had my booster, but didn't know, which is super annoying because like I said, I did do lateral flows every freaking day. That is my COVID story. I wish I could tell you more. I still have. So there you have it. You now know everything there is to know about my COVID experience. I think you'll see, I hope you understand why I didn't share it. It wasn't anything with anyone else. It was that I felt like if I posted about it, I would then get questions and I'd have to mention the situation of how I got it and who gave it to me. And that, to this day, I find frustrating. And to be honest, not over it, still very angry about it. But I'm getting better, obviously. But I felt like it put me in a very bad position to have to tell people. Like I didn't want to have to like get into it with everybody and go through the details and then, do you know what I mean? Like, even though I did all the right things, I did the tests. When I felt sick, I got a PCR, I isolated, I did all the right things. I don't know, I feel like either your parent or your child, you always feel responsible for. So I don't know, in a weird way, I'm probably trying to protect my mum, but I've just like, I'm done. I'm kind of the belief that I've tried my best to keep this video factual, events-based, in this order, things happened. Is it meant to be slander? Is it meant to be anything? It's just, these are the facts as they happened. Reporting in from the BBC. So that's the most we can do. I don't want to shield poor behavior, because what does that help? Like, then you're kind of on the side of the person who did the bad behavior, but also you want to protect them because you feel responsible, because they're your, what do you call it? They're your tenant, your account. So yeah, but that's, yeah, I don't know, maybe that's completely unjustified, maybe it is justified, maybe I'm gonna get a ton of hate on this video, but it is what it is. Hopefully you guys didn't get COVID, although I'm sure statistically most of you did. Hopefully yours was as mild as mine was and it wasn't that bad. My biggest issue was the digestion, if I'm honest. That was the most upsetting, when you can't eat food and you're like, I just want to eat. But yeah. Well, I hope you enjoyed this first ever, maybe ever, story time. As you can see, I'm already blurring a wall that I put up in December, so progress, guys. But yeah, I'll keep you updated on my scars from this stupid COVID. And also I want to share it because I have told a few people about it and people didn't realize that that was a side effect of COVID. And there's going to be so many people that I think had a similar situation to me, that got the booster when they had COVID but didn't realize, and you might not realize what that means. But if you do have that rash like I do, please do seek medical help. They'll give you a cream and it'll change your life. So yeah, thank you so much for watching. Give the video a thumbs up. Tell me in the comments below your COVID experience. Is it the same, different? I'd love to know, because I think it's interesting how everyone's varies. But yeah, thank you so much for watching.